Hi. Do you ever feel like you're constantly running on empty? No matter how hard you work, you just can't seem to find that elusive work-life harmony? If so, you're not alone because so many women leaders I work with find themselves trapped in a vicious circle of stress, burnout, and declining health. And it doesn't have to be that way. So today I am thrilled to welcome Shivani Bhattacharya, and she is a certified stress and sleep coach who is there to share her powerful story of transformation and the practical strategies that she has used and also uses to help women leaders to reclaim their energy and boost their productivity and show up as their most confident and aligned selves. Shivani knows this journey intimately. For years, she has pushed herself to the limit in the corporate world, working long hours, ignoring her own well being. And eventually, the stress caught up with her. Shivani found herself facing multiple lifestyle diseases, including PCOS and digestive issues. And this wake up call inspired a profound transformation. Through certifications in mindfulness, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, and behavioral psychology, Shivani developed a holistic approach to managing stress and achieving better sleep. And now she's on a mission to support other women in doing the same.
Yeah.
So, if you are ready to break free from the limitations of stress and prioritize your well being without sacrificing your ambition, buckle up. This conversation is about how to unlock a whole new realm of possibility. So, Shivani, welcome to the Boundary Breakers Collective, and let's dive in. What can you share about your own journey that led you through this work?
Thank you, Helena, first of all, for having me. I'm pretty excited to be on this podcast with you.
Hmm.
And what really inspired me to start my coaching journey, like you already introduced a lot of things about me, and you've covered all of that already. But yes, it was my own personal struggle with dealing with stress, sleepless nights. And most importantly, I formed a habit of quitting every single job that I was working in because I felt that there's something wrong in me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the skills and tools at that moment to understand that I can develop some skills and manage my stress better. But I always felt that I was falling short because I lacked something and I wasn't good enough. And I kept on quitting one job after the other. And I kept on pushing myself and adding a lot of stress in my own life, mentally thinking that I need to do more. I need to prove my worth more because I always felt that I wasn't doing good enough. And there came a time when there was no balance between my professional and my personal life. And I was really working very hard to prove my worth, to climb up the corporate ladder, to gain promotions, because I was always ambitious and I'm still a very ambitious woman. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. But I paid a very heavy price because I wasn't able to manage my stress and that affected my sleep. And I'm going to talk in this conversation with you about the relationship between stress and sleep as well, that how they're interconnected with each other. So I used to sleep for just like about 5 to 6 hours because I had a running mind all night, thinking about my work next day. Will I be able to do it? I had no clue what it really meant to set boundaries, a healthy boundary around me. So I had zero boundaries around me. I would never ever say no to anybody. So it was always yes to everything. And even when I had like a full plate, like I knew my schedule is packed, I can't take more load, I would keep saying yes because I never had any healthy boundaries. And that's when lifestyle diseases like PCOS, like you mentioned, and even endometriosis. I went under a surgery. And I remember very clearly my doctor telling me one thing that you can go to the best doctor and be on the best medication ever. But if you don't pay attention to your basic needs, which is managing your stress and just sleeping 8 hours, nothing on earth can ever help you. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that was a waking call for me. I was like, yeah, that's very true. If I can't manage my stress and if I can't prevent burnout for myself, there is nothing that can really help me. That's when I sought guidance. I went for therapy. I started with a counseling with someone similar like me. I worked with a coach who helped me to understand and tell me that what I was going through was pretty normal. All I needed was to develop some skills so that I
Yeah.
can cope much better. So
Yeah.
I got introduced to meditation, mindfulness practices, and that's where the journey began. I started meditating, I started doing a lot of self reflection. Journaling was a huge part of it, just to make a note of how I was feeling, what I was feeling, putting that on a piece of paper, identifying my stressors in life.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's very interesting because I'm sure that a lot of women listening in or watching this
Yes.
are going to recognize that. I guess that most of us have been there or still are there. And it's so difficult to get out of that because it's like you're in this rat race, you're in this constant pushing yourself without even having the time to reflect and to understand what is going on until your body says, stop. This is
Yeah.
enough. And then, of course, the doctor says, well, your body says stop because you don't listen to yourself. You don't listen
Yeah.
to your mind. You don't listen to your heart. You don't listen to your soul. You just keep going because
Yeah.
that's the definition of success that you have developed and that you maintain, even if you could be aware that it's not right for you, that it is not what you need to do to be fulfilled, but it is because of society, because of role models that we see that are pushing themselves, and we don't see what is behind the scenes. We don't see
Yeah.
what is at the other side of the mirror, and we think that's what we need to do. And
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that story, Shivani, because it's very courageous to share the story. And it's also very courageous to change that, to say, stop. Now it's
Yeah.
about me and what I need as a person, as a whole person, not
Yeah.
only as a professional, successful woman, but as a person. It's about what I need in order to be healthy at all levels and in all dimensions. So it's something that I recognize. I see that with my clients. You obviously see that with your clients.
Yeah.
Your doctor said it's absolutely time, but what was like for you the step to do it, to actually change that? What was it?
For me, when I sought help, the support that I received from my therapist and
Mm-hmm.
other coaches that I worked with, I think that
Yeah.
was my first step to be able to stand up for myself. And I got huge support from my family when I spoke up and I explained to them what I was actually going through,
Yeah.
letting them know that I'm a young woman with ambition, but I feel miserable going to work. I don't want to face the day as if
Yeah.
there's something wrong with me. That is what I was going through each time, doubting my capability. So
It's me. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
me. There's something wrong with me. I was very fortunate to get a lot of help from my friends, family, and I found a very good therapist with whom I was working.
Yeah.
I needed that support, and I think that's what I want to say, that we all need that support, and we
Yeah.
should be courageous enough to ask for that.
Yeah, it's not a sign of weakness, right? It's
Yeah.
in on the contrary, it's a sign of strength to
Yes.
understand what is going on and
Yes.
to not judge yourself and not be hard on yourself and say, yes, this is something that I can use help with. Absolutely. Yeah,
Yes.
very
So
powerful.
it began from there, and then it was always one tiny step at a time. I was working with somebody who had thorough knowledge about what stress management was all about, what anxiety was all about. So
Mhm.
I was in safe hands where we built on some habits, tiny habits, and and there's another thing that I want to say. A lot of people, when they get into therapy and they take the first step, they attach a result to it very quickly, very soon by saying that I think 1 month is enough for me or 2 months is enough for me. Now I have to show some results. I worked with a therapist for over a year. So to
Mm.
be patient with yourself and to be kind, and that's something I was with myself. I was very compassionate and kind with myself. I
Yeah,
allowed myself to heal. And as much as time it took, I gave myself that time. I think that made a lot of difference, that
yeah.
attitude to begin
Mhm.
with.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Shivani, because you can be in that situation, you can look for help, you can go into therapy, and then you can say, okay, now I know that I really overdid. I have to find a new way of living, a new way of looking at my career, a new way of defining success.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to become an entrepreneur. You can just keep doing that in professional
Yeah.
corporate life or
Yes.
not.
That's exactly what I did. So I after I started the therapy and I started gaining confidence, I started learning new skills, and I was able to manage my stress better. I was working with a corporate firm for the next 6 years, where I grew as a person in that company, where there was remarkable growth, which led to n number of promotions as well. And
Yeah.
eventually, I managed the entire team. So I was working for an Australian company and managing their entire Mumbai operation. This
Whoa.
happened after I sought therapy. So I still continued to be in my corporate sector. I
Yeah.
didn't quit and say, that's it, I don't want to give it a try. I applied what I learned, and there
Mhm.
was a transformation.
What was your major lesson there? And what did you absolutely do differently where you would like already be able to give some advice to women listening to this or watching this? Okay, just these little things already shifted a lot for me. What was it?
I think I developed a growth mindset. So I faced each day looking forward to whatever was coming along with. And I was able to by then identify and categorize between good stress and bad stress.
Mhm.
And that's when I learned that not all stress is bad, and we need some stress in our lives to to grow in life. Basically, my perception changed, and whenever there was a challenging moment, of course there was, it's never an easy journey to say that, okay, I've learned now new skills and I know how to manage it, now I sleep good. That doesn't mean that life will not throw new challenges. Of course, that's
Exactly.
always
Yeah.
going to be there, and it wasn't an easy ride. The promotions that I'm talking about, I had to go through challenging situations and I had to overcome that. But I guess the whole attitude and to go back to my practices and be consistent. I was always told, and I realized that you can't get overconfident with just because you've overcome something in the past with one episode of managing your stress. It doesn't mean that you've learned that lesson for life and you did not practice that again. So
Mhm.
I went back because I understood that when I was slackening in my practice and being complacent, I was seeing a change in me, that I wasn't so confident in dealing with the situations around me. And the root cause and was always checking if I was doing my practices regularly.
Yeah.
And that
It's
has
about building that muscle. When you stop
yeah,
practicing, it's like your muscle also weakens. Yeah. You have to keep that up. Yeah. And I
yes,
love to say that you say you change your perspective, because if you change your perspective, you also change your experience, how you perceive things and how you
yes,
feel about it. That's an important one, because
absolutely.
how we think about something is defining how we feel about something, and the choices and the actions and the decisions that we take on top of that. So it's like staying connected with yourself, with who you really are,
Yeah.
instead of doing whatever you were supposed to do or what expected from you. Does that make
Mm.
sense?
Yeah, it does.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, beautiful. And so, if you would look at some things that you actually also did different, because you think different, you feel different, you decide
Yes.
differently, but are there some strategies for women that
Yeah.
feel like, okay, I'm also going to that into that direction of exhaustion, if not stopping? Are
Mm.
there like little things where that you learned where you say, if you implement that, it
Yeah.
might already make a difference?
Yes. Yes. So the number one thing that I want to talk about is setting boundaries,
Mhm.
setting healthy
Yeah.
boundaries, and having the right kind of communication. Assertive communication is something that I would want to tell people who are listening right now. Is something that we need to practice. A no
Mhm.
is a no. And to convey this very clearly by giving utmost respect to the person, you need not feel guilty about doing that.
Yeah.
Just because you're employed and you're working with somebody, that doesn't mean that you don't have the right to clearly communicate and tell them how you're feeling. You need help there, you need help there. If you need more time to do something, you have to tell them. Because
Yeah.
often there's a lot of internal dialogue that goes ahead, and we stop ourselves from taking that step and communicating and assuming that the other person will understand.
Mhm.
But it really doesn't work that way. And I
Yeah.
learned this when I actually started talking about it openly and being vocal about how I was feeling. If I needed to hire more people in my team to, let's say, fulfill a sales target, I was vocal in saying that I cannot do everything on my own and I need help. And I
Yeah.
explained to them with a proper strategy and a business plan that why I was asking for more people to join my team,
Mhm. Yeah.
which initially I would just keep myself completely, keep my mouth shut and just keep taking it all on myself. So I think healthy boundaries doesn't mean that you are being rude to somebody or you're not serious about your work. Always saying yes always leads to burnout. This is
Yeah,
a simple thing.
absolutely. Yeah. And the
Learning.
yeah, as you know, the thing is also as women in leadership positions, sometimes we feel like we have to prove ourselves and we have to do like a lot more than men in the same position. And
Yeah.
so if we get an assignment or a project or a new role, we are like so eager to prove ourselves worthy that we don't even think of, wait a minute, okay, what is basically the mandate that I get? What is it that is expected from me in this role? And is it like in simple things? Let's do that. The masculine thing. Is it smart? Is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it achievable? And things like that. And then it's also about, can I do this? Do I have the resources? Do I have enough time? Do I have enough
Yeah.
people? Do I have enough qualified people? Things like that. We don't make that. We don't make that reflection because we're like, okay, we will do it. And everything that I ask, people will feel that I'm not sure about myself. I'm not confident. I might not be able to do it. Instead of seeing it as a negotiation, okay, this is the situation, or this is the goal, or this is the project. What is
Yeah.
needed in order to have a successful finalization? And so we make up for that by working double hours, taking everything upon us, not
Yes.
even pushing it down to the team because we said we were going to do it. And so we keep going instead of saying, like you say, wait a minute, we're here on the boundary breakers, but it is about setting the boundaries. Wait a minute, what is going on here? Because this is not working. And even if you say we are already gone for a couple of weeks or months, now it's too late. No, it's never too late because you're learning and you have new insights and
Yeah.
realities. And it is like you say, having that assertiveness in a kind way. You don't have to be bitchy for that, but having that assertiveness in a kind way to negotiate the resources in order to achieve the goal. And like you say, your boss is not a mind reader, right? He doesn't know what is going
Definitely.
on. He or she have their own challenges and issues. Yeah. Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. That's very important. Keep that communication open. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Other tips or little things in the corporate life?
Another, there are so many things. I think I was talking about the relationship between stress and sleep when I started introducing myself.
Mm-hmm.
Prioritizing your sleep. I feel sleep is your biggest recovery rock star. We need to rest well, we need to recover. That's as important as learning new skills at work so that you can perform better. Ambition, performance, everything at the end of the day is tied down to how well you're rested at the same time. You
Yeah.
can't be learning meditation, you can't be learning new skills to manage stress, but at the end of the day, not giving yourself that 8 hours of good quality sleep.
Yeah.
So I think that should be your number one
Mm,
focus as far as your rest and recovery is concerned. Absolutely giving yourself that time to switch off, again by having that healthy boundary that once I'm back from work, whether it's 6 p.m., 7 p.m., that's it. My time at my work is over. A
mhm.
quick journal can really help you to write down and give a closure to that particular day, that this is what I've achieved XYZ things, and this is what I have for tomorrow planned. And I'm
Mhm.
going to look at it tomorrow first thing in the morning. So that's a
Yeah.
closure. That's
Yeah.
when I work with my
Good to
clients,
go.
I tell them, you
Yeah.
do a morning journal, you prioritize the things you need to do, and then at the night, you give it a closure by saying you've done your thing, your best, and some things are going to be carried forward for the next day. So that's something really helps. And winding down in the evening, like we wake up in the morning, we have a slow start. We don't just jump off the bed and conquer the world, right? It's a slow start. You get up, you drink your coffee, you change, you take a shower, you go for a run, and that's when the cortisol kicks in and you're ready to face the world. So if you
Exactly.
want the melatonin to kick in the evening, you have to slow down. You can't give a wrong signal to your body because then your
Yeah.
body keeps on producing cortisol, thinking that you have to work harder and harder.
Yeah.
Slowing down, dimming the lights off, doing some rituals before you sleep. Like I said, it could be some breath work, meditation, signaling your body that now it's the time to rest. Preparation is needed. And
Um,
that's going to help you to sleep like a baby at night.
yeah. Wonderful. Shifani, so you said that you, after this breakdown, you still stayed in corporate life, you
Yes.
changed things. So you became basically, you were back on track, you were successful, got promotion after promotion, managed a team. And then what happened?
Yes, that then what happened was I always had this dream that I wanted to get into counseling and coaching. And it's a long story, but I'm going to cut it short. Always with my friends, like always, whenever they used to confide in me and talk to me about their problems, I would at the end of the day get a very good feedback as a feedback that you should take this very seriously, become a professional and maybe get certified and learn things because you're compassionate, you're a good listener, you understand what we're talking about, and we
Mhm,
feel great after this. I used to take it as a joke, not take them very seriously, but it kept on increasing the amount of feedback that I received from people around me. And other than that, most importantly, when I was able to transform so many things in my own life, I wanted to help women leaders around me.
mm.
I wanted to tell people because it was a very common thing. Even right now, when I speak to people, it's a very common thing for them to start hating their job and think that there's something wrong with them. And when I was able to do that, the first thing that I really wanted to do was be able to help more and more people around me. So
Why is
that
that so important for you?
it was an inner call, to be very honest, to
Mhm,
make a difference. That's the kind of person I am. To be able to build that community around me, to support each and every other woman around me. Because when I really needed help, there was someone for me. It was my way of giving it back. And I saw a purpose, and my values were totally aligned with the kind of work that I wanted to start doing, which was
mhm.
coaching.
Okay. Well, a lot of women are very interested to start coaching. Doesn't mean they do it because you have to leave a golden cage, right? Because you build your career, you build your reputation, you build your credibility and authority in corporate life. And then you have this calling, which is an amazing and beautiful calling. I can only resonate with that. But then it means that you also have to give up things, right? So,
Yeah.
how did that go? Because that's not an easy
Yeah.
thing. You make it sound very easy, but it's not, right?
No, it's not. No. I did not put my papers down overnight just because I had this calling and start my coaching business. I planned it meticulously, and it was something that I started doing part time. I did not leave my job and just decide to become a coach overnight. It wasn't so
Yeah.
easy.
Hmm.
I continued with my work, and on weekends I would take classes and I would, learn new skills and get certified myself. And that went on for a couple of years, for a good couple of
Yeah.
years.
So you
And
prepared for quite a long
yes,
time,
I did
actually. Yeah.
prepare for
But
quite
you
some
had that
time.
vision clear in front of
Yes,
you.
yes. So the more I learned, the more I dived into it, the more confidence I was gaining. And it was like an assurance that I was getting that I chose something and this is exactly what I wanted to do.
Mm.
And I remember like I hosted like a group coaching program that was all about mindfulness. That was my first group coaching program. And there were four people, not more than that.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
then it happened on a weekend. So it was for 4 weeks. And every Sunday, like we would meet consecutively for 4 weeks. And that did not interfere with my work because I was working Monday to Friday. I had my weekend off for myself. So that's how the journey began. And then slowly, when I felt like it's time now, I'm prepared with resources, financially also, and knowledge wise also. That's when I took the plunge and I was like, I want to do this full time.
Yeah. And how did it feel to do that?
It felt amazing. Like each time I'm associated with anything that's got to do with coaching, okay, that even if it is marketing, let's say, for example, or doing a podcast or learning something or talking to someone on a discovery call, no matter what the time is, no matter how many meetings I've had in that day, it never feels like I'm working. And
Hmm.
that's something, it's something that I never felt in my 15 years of career span, that I'm waking up today because I have to work. Coaching empowers me.
Yeah.
Talking about mental health empowers me and it keeps me on track at the same time. It's
Yeah.
like exchange of energy that happens. I'm lifting you up. I'm also helping myself in that entire process. So
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. I always say when I work with a woman that I coach, we both learn, we both grow, we both develop.
yeah,
Absolutely. It's that interaction and that co-creation of inner wisdom that is basically very fulfilling. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So, Shivani, how has that impacted your definition of success? Because there's a lot of us that have this very traditional view and definition on success, like it is like fed to us by society and by social media. And
Yeah,
success means a big title and a very linear career and a big house, a lot of money on the bank, a lot of options or bonuses and things
yeah.
like that.
Hmm.
So how has your choice now impacted your definition of success?
That's a great question.
Mm,
So initially, when I was in the corporate sector, for me, success only meant the amount written on my paycheck. It was always tied to money
mm,
and the luxury that I could provide, like
yeah,
to my family and give that to myself. Like how many holidays was I taking in a year and the things that I was buying. And I felt, yeah, I'm successful because I can do all of this.
yeah,
But it is no longer the same. Because clearly I don't really make that kind of money exactly what I was making earlier. And I don't feel that I'm less successful because the value that I'm bringing today, it's far more meaningful to me than what was I doing earlier. To be able to touch somebody's life and see that transformation, there is no bigger happiness than that.
yeah.
It's like if my client wins, I win. When I see them making some tiny little change and coming back to me and saying that I'm sleeping much better, I'm doing so right now. I think that is success to me right now. That is what my definition is.
Your reward system changes, right? A lot of us, and especially in corporate life, the reward is pretty transactional. It's like you say, it's the money at the end of the month and the bonus at the end of the quarter or at the end of the year. And that's
Yeah.
basically the definition of success, which a lot of us are like feeling intuitively that it doesn't make sense because it doesn't give us that fulfillment and it doesn't
Yeah.
create momentum because sometimes we really have to drag ourselves to work and
Yeah.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
competition or politics or whatever, especially
Yeah.
if you're working in a very toxic environment, which unfortunately there are a lot of those.
Yeah.
So if you can redefine that definition of success, and I also believe that if you can do that even before you leave corporate, but that you understand that success can be something completely
Yes.
different. It can be about impact. It can be indeed about paying it forward, giving back. It can be about making a difference. And it's not really in this transactional monetizing way, although of course we need to get paid for what we are doing. Absolutely,
Yeah.
as a coach there is this value that is translated in money, but that's like only a fraction of the complete value that we receive. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, beautiful. And I think that if we can do that as women, that it is a lot easier to make decisions and choices. You already said it was
Yeah.
aligned with my values, it was aligned with my aspirations.
Yeah.
If we can do that, it also makes it easier to make those decisions and to leave golden cages and to leave that kind of what we consider security and
Yeah.
comfort of
Yes.
corporate life, even if it doesn't fulfill us or even if it makes us sick, like what happened to you
Mm.
and what happened
Yeah.
to a lot of people. Yeah, absolutely. So what is your biggest learning in your journey here?
My biggest learning, I would say, is that looking at your goal and always remembering to take one step at a time
Yeah.
and to make sure that also kills, by the way, anxiety. When you drop this expectation from yourself that you need to achieve everything very soon overnight. So, breaking, I think what really helped me to even get here is to be always focused as far as my goal, whatever is concerned, whatever my goal is, but to always breaking that down to tiny little things and achieving one thing after the other,
Mm-hmm.
the continuum.
Yeah.
Because anything that you try to achieve, whether it's with your stress or with your sleep or anything for that matter, requires behavior change. Now, I
Yeah.
do that in my coaching as well. And that's why it's not so easy to just say that tomorrow I want to do this, wake up 6 a.m. in the morning and go to the gym. And then you just see that 3 months have passed and you still haven't joined the gym. So sometimes
Yeah.
having a goal and just being determined is not enough.
Mhm,
You need to understand the psychology of how you can actually form habits. Breaking
mm,
that down and being easy and going, that slow progress is needed
mhm.
sometimes.
Yeah,
Rushing into things and trying to achieve everything overnight just brings in lots of anxiety. So
absolutely.
reversing that would be to just go slow, break it down.
Yeah, absolutely. I can absolutely agree with you. And also, what you said before is to keep that image of who you want to become, of basically a kind of new or renewed identity. This is who I am. And this is why I am doing it, because this is something important. It's basically habits and behavior. For me, they stick if they are aligned with your values and your
Yeah.
principles and who you are. So
Yes.
it's always also keeping that view on, I want to be that coach. I want to be that person
Yes.
that has an impact on other women's life or on other
Yeah.
people's lives, depending on what you envisage. But if you also keep that in mind, you can also better stick to those habits and those behaviors, even if you don't feel like it one morning and you say,
Yeah.
okay, I have to do it. So it's basically, it's all aligned with each other. And I think that's the beauty of it, to understand that everything is aligned: habits, behavior, strategies with
Yes.
values and belief systems and with our identity. That's if we can really keep all these aligned and in connection, then it's a lot easier to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. Shivani, if people that are listening in or watching this, if they want to get in touch with you, what's the easiest way to connect with you?
They can go on my website, which is
Mhm,
wellnesswithshivani.com.
mhm.
They can book a free discovery call with me anywhere between 30 to 60 minutes. There are no strings attached here. I'm just happy to listen to you and just
Mhm.
support you in your journey. So you can book that call with me, visit my website and do that. You can find
Yeah,
me on LinkedIn as well. Type my full name and email me wellnesswithshivani@gmail.com and I will reply to you the moment I receive a mail from you. And
wonderful. Yeah. Do you also have a free gift?
yes, I do. I have
Tell us a little bit
quite a
more.
lot of gifts, actually, plural, I would say, not one. I have a ready done journal that you can, as a beginner, even start, even if you've never journaled in your life. It's
Okay.
very, very easy to use and it really helps you to plan and manage your day really well. I also have a free audio guided meditation in my own voice. It's a short 5 minutes audio guided meditation, which can help you to come back in the present moment, no matter where you are, no matter what you're dealing with, no matter what your stress levels are, no matter how high they are. But just listening to that audio meditation can really make you feel a lot more calmer and relaxed.
Mm.
So then there's also a newsletter subscription where
Okay.
you receive some well-researched, science-backed articles on stress, sleep, burnout, and you can just get that in your inbox fortnightly.
Mm. Wonderful. Thank you so much for that generosity. And we will make sure that all the links to these things
Yes.
are in the show notes and in the comments.
Yep.
So you have all that information directly available if you want to catch up with Shivani or if you want to learn from her wisdom and from her experience. So that was amazing. Shivani, thank you so much for being here, for sharing your wisdom and your experiences, for being vulnerable and telling the things the way they are. We know it's not easy. We don't have to golden everything or make everything sound like it's easy and fun. It's not. That's not what life is about. And there's enough of these things on social media that are like these shiny objects and shiny things. So thank you for bringing it for what it was. Your work is extremely important. So thank you also for what you do and for who you are. And looking forward to see a lot of women opening up their eyes, not only in the morning, but also in by way of speak, to what and how, what they can do and how they can do it in order to find more fulfillment in their lives and be more in harmony with what they really need instead of doing what they are supposed to do. So thank you so much, Shivani, for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak. Like I said, anything that's got to do with coaching, that's got to do with helping other women leaders, never feels like a work to me. So
Exactly. Yeah.
something that really excites me, something that I'm very passionate about. So you have given me this opportunity. I'm glad that people who listen, they're able to take something back and it really helps them and they're able to
Yeah,
bring some tiny change in their life.
absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, bye, bye for now. Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
All right. I will